to Tropicana Field. The first 10,000 fans in to receive the Joe Madden Dome. Already a big promotional hit. And the Wednesday night showdown is presented by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats, Todd Callis along in just a moment. Rays have swept Oakland. They divided the first two games of the series, trying to win this series from New York. And a great matchup, Alex Cobb and Andy Pettitte.
Well, Alex Cobb is going to look to keep things going as he has his first three starts. He's been very consistent in his approach, all three quality starts. And Alex Cobb, the name of the game for him is to keep the ball on the ground. He wants that sinker running down towards the dirt, the good 12-6 curveball, and the splitter. He's occasionally going to be able to go out and strike guys out, but he wants to use his infielders, keep the ball on the ground, and continue to improve upon those numbers right there. As like I said, he's gotten off to a quick start going up against the Yankees tonight. And how about this guy, the ageless wonder, 40 years old, in his 18th major league season, and he's 3-0, ERA just over 2. Precision is the name of the game for Andy Pettitte. Doesn't have the big fastball like he used to, but he's going to cut it, curveball, change up, and he'll be looking to do something tonight that he has not done at any point in his career before, and that is win his first 4 starts at the beginning of the season.
And for Coventry Healthcare Florida, here is the matchup and what they've done against the respective opponents. Pettitte with 17 wins over the Rays. That's more than any other active pitcher. Well, he is, after all, 40 years old. And Alex Cobb, 1-1, makes his 4th start with an earned run mark of .315 against this New York ball club. Evan Longoria continues to hit the baseball, and recently he's hit it out of the ballpark. The long ball in evidence. Todd Callis takes a look at that in a moment.
Also Joe Madden before the game. Yankees and Rays wrapping up this 3-game series. You know, the one thing that Joe Madden was concerned with for Evan Longoria at the beginning of the season was seeing good pitches, whether he'd be protected in the Rays lineup. Well, lately there has been a nice power surge for Evan Longoria. So you can see the last 9 games, 2 doubles, 5 home runs, 7 RBIs, and a .743 slugging percentage. Remember, Longo had no extra base hits in the first 11 games. Here's what Joe Madden thinks is the reason for Longoria's recent power surge.
Not missing his pitch, and I thought he was fouling his pitch off a lot early, where it was the pitch that I want to talk about exactly where, but he was seeing it. It was going back here, it wasn't going that way. Now it's going that way, like that last night. That was he didn't miss it. So I think more than anything, good hitters like that, when they're going really well with power, they're seeing their pitch and they're hitting it hard, keeping it fair that way. And when they're not, sometimes they're taking it or fouling it straight back. And I think he was fouling it back earlier, whereas now he's not.
It is a Wednesday night, which means it is Ask the Announcer Wednesday. As these guys get ready for the game, they are in full prep mode right now. Look at that. What's on that phone? We've got Joe Madden's gnome is thirsty. This is good. Just watch this, and then we'll be back with the game. Okay, all right, we're ready. Baseball. By the way, tweet your questions with the hashtag AskRays, ASK Rays, hashtag AskRays, and Dwayne NBA will answer your questions tonight. 3.5 minutes till the first pitch.
Homestand has been a success, winning 4 of the first 5 contests. Tonight, 25-year-old right-hander Alex Cobb goes to the hill for the Rays, while the Yankees counter with ageless wonder Andy Pettitte. The rubber game starts now. The Wednesday night showdown presented by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. The Rays and the Yankees. Let's take a quick look at the New York lineup. Yankees will again have Brett Gardner leading off in center field, followed by Ichiro Suzuki tonight. Robinson Cano hits third. Travis Hafner in there in the DH. Francisco Cervelli and then Lyle Overbay 5 and 6. Eduardo Nunez, Brennan Bosch, and Jason Nix completing the New York lineup.
Now taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, right-hander Alex Cobb making his 4th start of the season. Then he continues to just go out and be consistent in just about everything that he does, averaging over 7 innings per start. The 2-1 record, very good 2.53 run average. 3 starts against his Yankee ball club, 1-1. ERA just over 3, but he's holding them to a 171 average, although he will be facing a little bit different lineup tonight. Let's take a quick look at the defense as it lines up behind Alex. the outfield, left to right, Johnson, Jennings, and Zobrist. Across the infield, third to first, Longoria, Escobar, Roberts, and Rodriguez. Jose Molina will be behind the plate.
Following tonight, the Rays are going to be gone for a long time. A long road trip taking them into Chicago, Kansas City, and Denver to play the Colorado Rockies before their home against the Toronto Blue Jays Monday night, the 6th of May. Blue Jays, Padres, and the Red Sox in on that homestand. But tonight, the Rays face the Yankees trying to win the series. And the first pitch of this game from Alex Cobb is a strike call. That first pitch presented by Pinch a Penny. Gardner 0 for 4 last night. Did get a run home with a ground ball. And Cobb is out in front. Throws him a curveball right there for strike 2.
That has been a very good pitch for Alex here in the early going. Started to throw that spike curve, get that increased spin, more velocity on that pitch, more depth, sharper break.
And strike 3 call. Came back with a fastball on the corner.
Well, you talk about precision. That's where he wanted strike 1. Strike 1 caught a lot of the plate. That's fine. Then he drops the curveball and then the 0-2 heater, and that is absolutely perfectly placed. You talk about precision pitching. There it is.
No hesitation on the part of Sam Holbrook, the plate umpire. That ball all over the corner. 1 away. Here's Ichiro Suzuki. 1 ball, no strikes. Big breaking pitch to Suzuki. Well, he had the big hit last night, driving in 2 runs in the 9th inning. It's a fly ball to deep right field. Zobrist will go to the track for it, have room, and make the catch. Fastball and about a step and a half from the wall out there. Zobrist hauls it in.
You know, getting back to Alex curveball, one thing to look for tonight is the Yankees with 6 left-handed hitters in the lineup. It's going to give Alex Cobb an opportunity because that predominantly, I mean, he'll throw that pitch to right-handed hitters, but to lefties, he likes to use it early in the count. He can use it to both sides of the plate. So facing so many of them here tonight, got a chance to get in a good rhythm with that pitch.
And Robinson Cano, of all the left-handed hitters in this lineup, the big left-handed hitter. The Rays put the shift on for him. And there's a strike. It's short. The breaking ball called a strike by Holbrook.
See right here, they've got Escobar. They take him from shortstop, move him out into shallow right field. Evan Longoria now manning the shortstop position. Third base unoccupied. We need a movement, Wayne. Occupy third base.
Depends on who's hitting. This one is low. 1-1. Joe Madden and the Rays put together some great defensive schemes. And sometimes, depending on the count, with a nice changeup, depending on the count, they will switch positions in the shift.
All based off of information. Just boatloads of information that come in. That is the coaching staff's job to kind of filter through that, take out what they can use, what they want to present. You don't want to overload too much on these guys, but as far as shifts go, you go where the numbers point, the ball's going to go.
Base is empty here with 2 outs.
The thing about these shifts too is they're all predicated on numbers. A guy hits a ground ball 95% of the time, 85% of the time it's going to be to the right side, so you play the shift. However, for the shift to work, you've got to have confidence in your pitching staff to be able to go out and make the pitches in the sequence to get that ground ball to the right side.
Yeah, you don't want a pitcher working against the shift.
That's right. And they've
location.
That's right. And that's why they've got to be able to execute it also.
And now the count's full to Cano. The Rays sometimes might employ the same shift alignment, but then just switch personnel depending on where they think the ball's most likely to be hit.
I thought personnel groupings was only for football. They have their nickel defense on right now.
And that takes care of Cano and the Yankees. A couple change-ups in that sequence of pitches, and he got him with one. 2 strikeouts in the first. Look at that ball. Of the frame with Desmond Jennings leading off for Joe Madden tonight. Ryan Roberts again in there, and then Ben Zobrist, Evan Longoria, Sean Rodriguez, Chanel Escobar. Down the middle, the DH is Shelley Duncan, Jose Molina, and Kelly Johnson rounding out the Rays lineup against Andy Pettitte. And lefty's first pitch is outside. A fastball.
And a fast start for Andy Pettitte. 3-0 in his 3 starts. ERA just over 2. He's thrown at least 7 innings in each of those 3.
Well, he's making up for lost time. There's a strike. He didn't pitch at all in 2011 and last year. Came back, but he had that ankle fracture that cost him a good part of the year. He wound up with 9 decisions a year ago. 5 and 4 in 12 starts.
You go back with Andy Pettitte, the last time that he was able to log a full season of 30+ starts was 2009.
And he makes quick work here of Desmond Jennings.
Take a quick look at the Yankee defense as it lines up tonight in the outfield left to right. Suzuki, Gardner, and Bosch. Across the infield third to first, Nix, Nunez, Cano, and Overbay. Cisco Cervelli will be behind the plate. On what that at bat that Desmond Jennings just had off of Andy Pettitte, that's what you're going to see of Andy Pettitte. He just moves the ball around. He got him to swing at a fastball up and out of the zone away, and then fouled it up with a cutter right in on the hands. The guy really knows how to pitch.
Ryan Roberts goes after the first one and lifts the fly ball into right. And if you see a fastball that's close on that first pitch, you're likely to swing at it with him out there.
Well, because he's going to come at you from all different angles. You know, he's able to really, you know, he gets a big rock off the mound where that front shoulder gets real high, and he creates a lot of downhill angle. And so he's going to throw that fastball away. He's going to throw the cutter in. If he gets on top of the cutter, it almost becomes a slider. And then he mixes in the changeup and a big 12-6 type of curveball. So he's got a lot in his arsenal, and he knows what to do with it. That's what sets him apart, even at the age of 40.
And Zobrist takes the first pitch strike.
See how that front side, how he creates the angle to be able to then deliver that ball downhill.
Quickly, Ben is behind. Comes in hitting .292 off left-handed pitching this year and .254 overall. There's a line drive base hit. Fastball up a bit. Zobrist makes the turn and has the first hit of the game.
That's exactly where Andy Pettit wanted that pitch. They wanted Cervelli was sitting up, giving him the high target. Didn't quite get it in, but I'll tell you what, how about Ben Zobrist able to get the barrel to that baseball? That ball's at his letters.
Well, if you see a fastball or any pitch from him that's not cutting, you're probably going to swing at it, whether it's in the strike zone or out.
You've got to jump on it. And, you know, what gave Ben Zobrist a chance there is he shortened his stroke, and he's got that level swing. He shot that ball up the middle.
Here's Evan Longoria. Evan starts the night with a 10-game hitting streak. Hit his home run last night in the 9th inning against Mariano Rivera. That closed the gap to 1. Two ball, no strike count to Evan. Tapper to third. Nix into the glove and out with the throw. And the Rays get a hit, leave a man. We're at the end of an inning. No score. Is brought to you by Mazda. Visit your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. By the Tampa Bay Times, the official newspaper of the Rays and their fans. by Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. When cancer strikes, strike back with CyberKnife. Available at Tampa Bay Radiation Oncology. And by Toyota. Let's go places. We're going into the second inning here at Tropicana Field tonight. Wrap-up game of the series between the Rays and the Yankees. Travis Hafner will lead it off. Hafner, the DH. And he has given the Yankees a lift in the midst of all the injuries they've had to contend with. Joe Girardi, Tony Pena to his right. You look at their injury list, and it's an all-star lineup. Jeter out until at least after the all-star break, maybe longer. Granderson, Rodriguez, and Mark Teixeira. A lot of firepower lost to injury.
Well, this lineup has been decimated. You look at that injury to Derek Jeter, and you hear a lot of the experts saying, well, when he does come back, what's he going to be? Is he going to be able to be the player that he was before, and doubting if he can play the shortstop position again? I'm going to tell you something right now. Just having had the opportunity to compete against him and watch him and how he goes about his business, I'd be careful before I start spouting off about those kind of things, because if you don't think that guy, first of all, hears this stuff and is not going to use that as motivation to make sure that he is ready to go come, after the All-Star break or whenever it is, to prove these guys wrong, I would not bet against Derek Jeter.
Well, of all the great names that have been on that roster through the years, they will tell you he is the heart and soul of that team. Hafner walks on a close pitch. Leadoff pass sends the DH down to first.
A tremendous amount of pride in what he does and the level in which he does it. They were talking a couple of years ago. Maybe the swing wasn't there and he was going downhill. What did he respond with?
Absolutely 300.
That's right. That's right. Actually tore the cover off the baseball. So it'll be interesting to see once they start to get some of their guys back. Granderson and Teixeira.
Teixeira saying yesterday he still felt some stiffness in that injured right wrist. There had been some speculation that he might be back by the first day of May, but it doesn't look like that now.
No, and you gotta think that with a hitter, especially Teixeira being a switch hitter, that you're going to be very cautious with the wrist. I mean, think about what goes into hitting, and how much wrist play and torque. You got to make sure that is 100%, or we'll go downhill again in a hurry.
Strike to count to Cervelli. Cobb at a 1-2-3 first. He's ahead of Cervelli. 0-2. Well, they've had Hafner in to fill in. Kevin Youkilis acquired really to fill a spot or two, and he's been out of this series. He left the final game in the last series they had with a back issue, lower back stiffness, and they've added Vernon Wells. They've gotten a lift from Wells. That's a strike call. Fastball. Cervelli's caught looking. Third strikeout already, and the second call, third strike.
Now he just lured Cervelli to sleep, and it just comes with a fastball. There's nothing special about this pitch right in the outside corner. Cervelli just cannot pull the trigger.
You know, there are times, and we saw that changeup to Cano to end the top of the first had unbelievable run on it.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, he'll get a little late movement with his fastball as well. And a hitter might tend to give up on that. It's a strike. Overbay up there, and that's strike one on the changeup to him.
And I think that's where his changeup velocity is most effective, in that 84 range. We've seen one at 86. They start to get a little bit harder. They can still be effective, but they don't get that dip that you saw on that 84, that good finish where that ball really heads down towards the dirt, acting like a true split finger.
A 1-1 count to Lyle Overbay.
You know, and Alex Cobb, when you look at all three of his pitches, he's able to get that kind of good finish in that late movement because he stays nice and tall over the rubber and he allows his hand to get out in front. When you allow your hand to get out in front, you get good finish with the wrist, the forearm on the pitch, and you're going to get that late action. That's why he's able to keep the ball on the ground so effectively.
Two balls and a strike. Take a look at this one again.
All about making adjustments. The previous pitch was the same thing. It was a changeup that he kind of rushed and it stayed up and away. Makes the proper adjustment, gets the pitch down where he wants it, gets the swing and a miss.
The fastball fouled out of play. Cobb 2-1 with a 253 coming into this game in his first three starts. Fastball in on him. That one up at 91. Hafner walked, still at first after Cervelli was caught looking.
This is a perfect spot here for Cobb to go with the off speed. He just beat Overbay in on the hands with the fastball. Overbay now is probably geared up to not allow that to happen again, thinking quick. Now's the time to slow him back down.
We're going to go 3-2 here to Overbay. Laid off the off speed.
And that's why, you know, when we talk about game plans and how important it is, that's great, but you've got to be able to execute the pitch. The right idea, Alex had the right idea there. Go with the changeup, go with the split, try to punch him out, but that ball came out of his hand, and it was a ball out of the hand. Overbay, easy take for him.
And he strikes him out. He comes back with it. Strikes him out on a changeup. 4 strikeouts. 5 outs recorded, 4 by strikeout.
Well, and in this at bat, he threw 2 bad changeups, but was able to come right back and make the adjustment and get swings and misses. None bigger than that one there in a full count.
Now he faces Eduardo Nunez, the infielder out of the Dominican Republic. And a first pitch strike. Curveball. Well, the early part of this year, he's been throwing the curveball more than the changeup.
Well, it's been good. It's been really good, especially early in the count, just like that, to put you ahead 0-1.
Tap out in front of the plate. It bounces foul. Molina quickly, like a cat, jumping on that little nubber off the bat of Nunez, but it was foul. And since Cobb was in the neighborhood, he thought he'd take advantage, have a little conversation with his battery mate.
Look at Jose Molina, a little high stepping out of the catcher's box, making the throw anyway. Accurately, by the way.
That's what he's known for.
Yeah.
That and framing pitches.
Well, he does a great job. The framing of the pitches and the way that he works for the pitching staff, getting out there and angling his body, using his glove.
And a base hit off an 0-2 pitch. Up a little bit. Nunez serves it into center. Hafner stops at second.
I'm not sure that that was the pitch that they discussed. 0-2, and this one just a little bit too good for Nunez. It gave him a chance. You see, that was another split, and that ball didn't have that finish down towards the dirt, a little bit harder, and Nunez was able to line it into center field.
You know, the other night we were talking about the pitch selection versus execution of pitches. Well, it's really not so much the bad selection as it is bad execution.
Most of the time.
Here's Bosch out in front of the change, and with all that power gone, it's caught in shallow right by Zobrist. Walk and a single, 2 left, bottom of the second coming, no score.
Things against left-handed pitchers as of recent.
Yeah, we've done pretty well. You know, the other night against Sabathia, I thought the boys did a nice job against him. You know, Sean Rodriguez has had really good at-bats. Nobody's really talked about him a whole lot, but his at-bats have been really good, meaning that he's probably laid off the borderline bad pitch better, I think, this year. And I like the idea that the first hit he had the other night went into right central. I like that a lot. Escobar really continues to get better. Dunk normally hits lefties really well, too. Above that, Ryan Roberts had a pretty nice night the other night. So I think up and down we're a little bit thicker versus the left-handed pitcher.
See the Sean Rodriguez at bat right out of the gates this inning, guys.
Sean down 2 strikes. It's a ball and 2 strikes now. Sean in there against the left-hander Andy Pettit. You heard what Madden had to say there. And he's playing first base while getting some at-bats against the lefty and is caught looking. Second strikeout. That pitch started wide, and he thought it was out of the zone.
Well, that's what happens when you give up on a pitch and it breaks back, and you see it catches that outside corner. That, regardless of the Fox tracks, that looked good, and that's what that pitch is designed to do. That was that almost, was it a cutter? Was it a slider? But the bottom line was it was set up perfectly so that he throws that pitch, the hitter gives up on it, thinks it's off the plate, all of a sudden cuts over, catches the outside corner, and they swear that ball was a ball until they go back and look at the video.
Time Escobar steps out. Time granted just as Pettit was ready to make his delivery. One ball, no strikes. Breaking ball that stayed wide. 2-0. Ground ball headed toward the middle. Grabbed by Nunez. Throw to first. Gets him. Escobar went in sliding at first, and Nunez made a fine play.
Well, he really did. That ball was hit hard, but Nunez had to get going in a hurry to try to glove that ball before it got into center field. Not easy at all. Full reach right here, and then you got to go down, turn, pop, and throw accurately. Interesting dismount there by Yunel.
I've seen a similar move on a water slide. A pretty good distance on that slide into first.
Going for style points.
So strike out and a ground out on the good play by Nunez. Shelley Duncan fouls it back. Shelley serving as the designated hitter. A couple of home runs on the year. He is one of 16, however, against lefties. In fact, you go Duncan, Molina, and Johnson in the bottom of the Rays order. Not much against lefties so far. And these are guys that you would expect would be productive against left-handed pitching. Duncan and Molina. And Johnson, actually, for his career, has a higher average against lefties than righties. So the sample relatively small to this point. Three and one the count.
All right, here we go.
And a walk. So Duncan draws the 2-out pass. Well, how about that? To start his career against the Rays, he took full advantage of the expansion years, did he not?
That's it. That's Devil Ray baseball right there. Last 12, you start to mix in the Rays. Numbers start to change a little bit. You saw that with CC Sabathia.
So here's Molina. Missing the fastball, strike one.
Yeah, bottom line is when you make 32 starts against one team, you're really good. Because you don't last that long to make that many starts against one team unless you're at the top of the heap.
Well, Pettit just 2 away from 250 career wins. Oh, 2. Kelly Johnson on deck. And right back to Pettit. Fires to first to Overbay, and the Rays get a walk and leave a man. We're through 2 from the Trop. No score.
Check this out. Come out for Star Trek night. Stardate Friday, May the 10th, and celebrate the release of Star Trek Into the Darkness. Watch the Rays Enterprise take on the Padres in a special seating section and receive a Star Trek t-shirt for $25. Visit RaysBaseball.com/Star Trek for tickets. Not doing so would be highly illogical.
Especially if you get a ticket and a t-shirt for $25.
As illogical as that wig. Also highly.
Yeah, it's got team colors supporting the team.
Don't try to hard sell me on that.
Well, let's go to the third in this one. Rays and the Yankees are scoreless. Jason Nix hitting ninth, playing third base, will lead it off, and then back around to Brett Gardner and Ichiro Suzuki. Nix hitting .225 and goes after the first pitch, popping it up. It's Roberts from second over to make the catch. Hey, let's check in again with Todd. Todd, what's up?
Well, Dwayne, it's a Wednesday. That means you guys have all the answers for our tweet questions. Hashtag them Ask Rays. And the latest question, there's a lot of stuff about the Joe Gnome. Somebody wanted to know what he was drinking up there in the booth before the game. But the question from Kevin is, how does Luke Scott fit in when he comes off the DL, guys?
Well, a good question. At the outset, they thought he was going to be on this club and be the left-handed hitting DH, and if he was healthy enough, they would run him into the outfield once in a while. But what we've seen and what we saw BA back in the spring, the Rays could use a little right-handed help in that lineup.
Well, and that'll be interesting, the corresponding move that's made. I mean, certainly Luke Scott is going to come back and he's going to find himself in the lineup a whole lot more often than not. It's the whole reason that he was brought back, and if he's healthy, he's going to play. But what will be made to not only fit him onto the roster, but then obviously to get him into the lineup? And that will be interesting. And I think that the idea of getting him out into the field is going to help him be in the lineup even more, because that versatility, as we've seen with with Kelly Johnson and Sean Rodriguez getting increased playing time and playing different positions, is going to be of the utmost importance. And that's why they're going to be cautious with him and make sure that he is ready to go and that he can play in the field, before he gets full-time status.
Yeah, Luke started his rehab assignment with Charlotte down the highway a little bit. He went 1 for 4 last night, had a base hit. Gardner right back to the hill, and Cobb throws him out, 2 up, 2 down. So Luke was scheduled to have a day off tomorrow or today after yesterday beginning the rehab assignment.
And the second part of your question, Todd, it was Jameson's.
But Todd will be up here immediately.
12-year special reserve. He's sleeping now.
Here's Ichiro. Pitch is high. Two and 0. Pop out and a ground out. And Cobb just missed right there.
Just missed where?
Let's take another look. See if you can figure this one out. Well, he really didn't miss.
No, that ball looked like it was right about the belt.
It's now 3-1. Well, Cobb has found himself in a nice little rhythm here, and unless the hitter steps out, he's ready to go with the next pitch as soon as he gets the ball back from Molina.
Well, when you like how you feel out on the mound physically, you like where you're at mentally, the next pitch, after you see the hitter's reaction, you've got a game plan in mind. That next pitch pops into your mind. Alex Cobb, like most pitchers should. What's the delay?
Yep.
You've got it all down. Get up there and throw. Stay into a good rhythm. Put the pressure on the hitter.
Well, he's thrown 4 strikes to Ichiro here. He just fouled off that 3-2 pitch. That was a strike. And a little bouncing ball for Roberts. Nice job by Cobb right there to get Suzuki. Home half of inning 3 coming. No score.
Tires Plus will donate $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run televised on Sun Sports.
Kelly Johnson leads off here in the bottom half of the 3rd. One and one to count. Jennings next, and then Roberts. This ball, 2 strikes. It's nap time for the gnome.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's a napping gnome.
It's okay. 1 foot on the ground.
And Johnson is out on strikes. Three strikeouts now for Pettit. Here's Desmond Jennings. And a base hit the other way off a fastball. The Rays have their second hit, their third base runner off Pettit.
Nice job there by Desmond Jennings, just going with that pitch. Shoot that ball into right field. Now you've got a battle here. You've got a very efficient base stealer with one of the best in the game, one of the best pickoff moves in the game, controlling the run in game.
And Ryan Roberts has been on a hot streak himself. Our Toyota trend 8 out of 19.
Prove it, Pettit, prove it.
He takes a strike. I like what Madden had to say the other day about Roberts. He's been so hot. He says the thing about Roberts is that he's not over boogieing.
Maddenism.
Essentially, and then he explained that. He clarified that he is pretty much staying within himself. I think he said he was staying within his swing. Down on the count now, 0-2.
Well, this is the most extended playing time he's really had. Staying out there at second base.
Yeah, right
Hammering
now,
left-handed pitching.
10 out of 23 right now.
You get that extended playing time, and it's nice to see live pitching every day.
Has been back in at first.
And Andy Pettit giving him the C move. That's just a let him know that you're there move. He's got a much better one than that.
And you know, Roberts has never faced Pettit before. So it's a new experience for him. The fly ball to right. In the first, he swung at the first pitch. It was a fastball, which is not always a bad idea with Pettit. Now the count's 1-2.
This is might where you see that cutter, maybe the backdoor cutter, try to get something on the ground. They're going to come in on the hands.
Roberts out on strikes. Strikeout number 4.
Well, you notice here with Andy Pettit, he just doesn't stay on one side of the plate for very long. I mean, he's constantly moving the ball in and out with different pitches. Sometimes it's the backdoor cutter, sometimes it's the cutter on the hands. That one right there, you know, when he gets on top of it, almost becomes a hard slider. Takes that ball right down to the dirt. And that's going to be the challenge for these Rays hitters. And that's why, like you said earlier in the game, Dwayne, you see something straight with some elevation. Talking about elevation, that's how Ben Zobrist got his first hit.
He singled on an 0-2 fastball up, probably out of the zone. Up. It's a ball to no strikes. So that gives Ben that base hit off Pettit. Gives him 8 for 20 lifetime against Andy Pettit with a couple home runs. And over to first. Now Pettit with that great move, and he can really shut down the running game. He has 102 career pickoffs, which is tops in the major league since that became an official statistic that they were tabulating back in '74. And you know, the interesting thing about that move, and he will tell you that as a developing pitcher in the Yankee system, Nardi Contreras, who until recently was their minor league pitching coordinator, had the greatest influence on him. But he had that pickoff move when he first broke into pro ball. That's something that he had as a high school pitcher. He said he just always had that delivery, and he would act as if he was ready to make a pitch to the plate and throw to first. And he's just done that all these years.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Well, and most guys, you know, they don't develop if they do end up with a good pickoff move. Most guys don't develop that until after they get into pro ball, for the simple reason that most of the time, if you're in high school, college,
nobody's on base.
Yeah, you don't. There's not many opportunities to use it, so you never really work on it. So to come by it honestly, just to have it as an extra weapon. I'll tell you what, he has continued to refine it. Now he's got a couple different versions. Desmond still has yet to see the best one.
Ben Zobrist is out on strikes. So 3 strikeouts in the inning for Pettit. We're through 3 scoreless.
Now, Penguins today pregame, other shenanigans throughout the week. Our Twitter poll question of the night: which of Joe Maddon's tricks did you like the best? Hashtag TB1 for DJ Fresh, TB2 for the Magician, right there, TB3 for the Cockatoo. There's Mindy, but she brought a loss. Don't forget about that, guys. Or TB4 today, the sweet little penguins from the aquarium. Now, guys, you know who loves penguins? Matt Moore loves him some penguins. But guess what? The one day they visit the ballpark, he was taking BP. Did not even meet the penguins, his favorite unique animal.
Well, Robinson Cano's going to lead off the fourth. And what was the reaction to all of that? You heard the report from Kelly and Matt.
They have more. There's
there's
more.
Okay.
Here's the tweet Matty Moe sent out. Just slightly mad I missed the Penguins in the clubhouse today. Instead, we were working on our swings for next week.
Nice pickup at first by Rodriguez on that throw out of the shift from short right field. That's a 6-3 put out as Escobar made the pickup out there in shallow right field.
Well, this ball rolls out there a ways, and Escobar's got to throw it off that back foot. Doesn't quite get it there, but gets picked up by Sean Rodriguez, much to the delight of his starting pitcher.
Kelly had a lot to cover on that last report with all the action going on before the game in the clubhouse with the Magicians and Penguins.
And you can tell, you know Kelly Nash, she's influencing the vote. You know what she's pulling for.
Well, she's just honest. There you go.
Here they were.
Courtesy of the Florida Aquarium.
Got to be a first, right? I mean, how many times have Penguins been in a Major League clubhouse not housing Ron Say?
Joe says, but this is my chair. I'm the manager. Could I please have it back?
Filled out the lineup card.
Joe or the Penguin?
The Penguin.
Of course.
Well, Joe with input from
yes,
the Penguin.
Exactly.
Never a dull moment around here.
No, even in a scoreless game. A little levity there with Davey Martinez and Joe Madden. Hafner, who walked his first time, behind in the count, 2 strikes this time around. You know, we're talking about Andy Pettitte and what a positive influence Nardi Contreras had on him as a young pitcher coming up through the Yankee system. The other guy who he likes spent a long time influencing young players in the Rays system, and that's Bill Evers. That takes care of Hafner. So Hafner is strikeout number 5 posted by Alex Cobb.
That fastball right in the inside corner, and you see Travis Hafner does not make a move towards that pitch. Looking out over the plate. Another strikeout for Alex Cobb.
There's Francisco Cervelli. Bill Evers, a longtime manager in the Rays system, and prior to that with the Yankees. First pitch to Cervelli, and that's a breaking ball, missing ball 1. Base is empty. Two and 0. You know, guys like that, Contreras and Bill Evers, they have spent the greater part of their careers in the minor leagues helping develop talent. Everyone's not cut out for that. But those two guys great jobs.
Yeah,
they've done.
Right. I mean, the unsung heroes. They're not going to be splashed on any headlines. They're not in a big league dugout, but they are behind the scenes, bringing the lunch pail to work every day, working with these young kids and getting them ready to perform at this level. And you're right, it's not for everybody, but I'll tell you what, a yeoman's work that they do.
It's now 2-2 on Cervelli. On deck is Lyle Overbay. Cobb delivers. Chop to the left side. Escobar gloves and fires, and it's dug out by Rodriguez. Into a 1-2-3 inning in the fourth. Alex Cobb has been very good again. We're headed into the bottom of the fourth. We have no score. Cobb has 5 strikeouts. To the plate to begin the bottom of the fourth. Well, he managed to reach base last night in a big way in the 9th inning when he hit his 5th home run of the year. Been on base in every game this year.
Yeah, he has recovered or brought back that power stroke. You know what he does a great job of, and what he's done is that ball out over the plate, the mistake, he's hitting it with the backspin, catching that ball flush. Get a lot of carry.
And that's vintage Evan Longoria. That's one of the first things you notice about him. If you've never seen him, and he was like this when we first saw him come up, when he started to hit with power.
Yeah.
He got great carry on balls.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, you see he starts with those high hands. He's got those high hands, and when he's going good, he stays very quiet at the plate, and then there is an explosion into the baseball. A little bit out in front of that one.
And Evan is out on strikes this time. 6 strikeouts for Pettit. Let's check in with Todd again. Todd?
Dwayne, a brand new website launched today, raysbaseball.com/community report. Here's the deal. On this, you can see an interactive content, including recaps, videos, and photo galleries of signature events, and programs like Joe's Thanksmas, the Rays on the Runway, the Rays Dugout Clubs, all that from the 2012 year where the Rays were very active in the community. Once again, it's raysbaseball.com/community report. It launched today, gentlemen.
All right, thank you for that update, Todd. Part of the mission of the Rays to be involved in the community, and so we can follow that on that website. John Rodriguez ahead in the count. Fouls a fastball back. Rays winners 5-1 here Monday night. Yankees won last night 4-3. And Pettit pulls even 2-2. Well fouled.
Well, this is just a reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
The count is full. Well, the Rays have Rodriguez in there, the righty against the left-hander Pettit. And we mentioned Duncan, Molina in there as well. Escobar will follow Rodriguez. Pettit's career has been interesting also from a lefty-righty breakout. There have been times he's gone through entire seasons when he's really had trouble with right-handed hitters. And then it would completely reverse where he'd have trouble against left-handed hitters. I mean, there have been some years when lefties hit over 320 off him. And it's been back and forth throughout his career. The last really full year he had, lefties hit only 186 off him. But in the intervening years, they were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Depends on what the cutter's doing and how that curveball is breaking. Those are the two pitches that he's going to put lefties away with.
Well, and the physical condition of his elbow and all of that would have a great deal to do with that.
Yeah, there's a lot that plays into it. I know lefties used to give me fits all the time because it took away one of my better pitches, which was the changeup. You know, spot the fastball all you want, but you need a secondary pitch as a starter. And you know, back then it was lefty on lefty changeup was something that was frowned upon, and so I didn't throw it that much. Now all of a sudden I'm going to my breaking ball, which, you know, are you kidding me? That thing was, you know, one day it was decent, the next 5 it was horrible. And that's where the range was. Decent and bad.
Here's a 10th pitch of this at bat. And a line drive that's just over Nunez and through into left. Nunez trying to time his leap and retain as much hang time as he could.
Yeah, he jumped a little bit too early. That ball didn't come off the bat as hot as he thought. He jumped, and like you said, he tried to stay up there. Just couldn't reach it.
Here's Yadiel Escobar. This one and thinks about going to first, but not time. And Escobar is out number 2. Yeah, Nunez might feel a little beleaguered with a couple of shots like that at him here. Shelley Duncan.
Well, you can see these raised base runners well aware of Andy Pettit's pickoff move. They are getting back with plenty to spare, not even offering him an opportunity.
Andy, born in Baton Rouge, but grew up in Deer Park, just outside of Houston. Went to high school at Deer Park, and then San Jacinto Junior College.
Sanjak.
That's what the locals call it there. They've got some pretty good baseball programs, and he's one of their proud products.
That's the thing about baseball. You can find players, you talk about the NFL draft is tomorrow night. A lot of these guys, there'll be some kids drafted out of smaller schools, but most of you from your power, Division I type of schools. Baseball, you can find players everywhere. Division II, Division III, JUCO.
Broken bat, that's going to be a foul ball.
Sanjak.
Yep.
Everywhere. It's amazing because it's a skill sport. You could go to one of these schools, a smaller school, but if it's down south, talk about kids playing year round, you start to develop those skills, and professional scouts will find you.
Yeah, and that's why the junior college, the community college have great baseball programs, and the development of a baseball player, you might come out of high school and still need a year or two.
That's right.
And it's a perfect environment for them. They get a lot of baseball. Play a lot of games, a lot of innings, a lot of at-bats.
And then you find yourself in a nice summer league. You get exposure. The next thing you know, here you are.
Don't get out on strikes. 2 more strikeouts in the inning for Pettit. Rays leave 1. We go to the 5th. Scoreless. Yankees wrapping up their series, and they're scoreless. It's time now for the Just for Men Auto Stop foolproof stat. Evan Longoria, Mark Trumbo, the only 2 players in the big leagues now to reach base safely in every one of their games. Evan tonight is 0 for 2. Nick Markakis dropped out of that. He went 0 for 5 in the Orioles game at home against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays won that game over the Orioles in 11 innings, 6-5, which means the Orioles finally lost an extra innings game.
They had been on an impressive streak of not dropping any of those types of games. They were so good last year, 1-run, 2-run games. Well, that credit to the bullpen, and that's what let them down today.
Jim Johnson lost that game. First pitch of the 5th inning, Overbay sends it into center, and Jennings makes the catch. Johnson now 1-2 on the year. Here's Eduardo Nunez. Nunez has picked up the only hit allowed by Alex Cobb. Single to center on a changeup. Rays have 3 hits. They've drawn a walk. Yankees have a walk and that base hit. Cobb in there with another strike. Taking the middle away from Nunez with Ryan Roberts just back of the bag at second.
And daring him to hit the ball the other way because Alex Cobb has been peppering him with fastballs away. So very sure that he's going to try to pull that pitch.
Goes out there, takes a look at a pitch off the plate.
Well, yeah, and that's not a bad idea either because the previous pitch was a fastball, clear strike by Alex Cobb, and Nunez, was chirping at home plate umpire Sam Holbrook, didn't think it was a strike, so go out a little bit further.
Popper shallow center. Roberts starts out, but Jennings is there and Desmond gloves it. 2 up and 2 down.
Well, join the team with Rays season tickets. Choose from a variety of plans and get the best seats, biggest savings, and exclusive benefits throughout the year. Reserve your seats today by calling 888-FAN-RAYS or visiting RaysBaseball.com. Well, both of these pitchers have just been very, very good at moving the ball in and out, back and forth. These lineups befuddled right now.
And a first pitch strike into Brandon Bosch. A curveball.
No rhyme or reason to what either one of them are doing from a hitter's standpoint.
Alex Cobb, retired Brennan Bosch, with a fly ball to right. The changeup had him out in front, hit a high fly ball to shallow right field, caught by Zobrist in the second inning. Overway hit a fly ball to center. Nunez a fly ball to center. 2-1 to count on the Yankee right fielder. Rays will embark upon a long road trip leaving town tonight after this game. Another long trip for the Rays in that stretch of the schedule out of playing 20 out of 26 games on the road. They lost that one rainout game on the schedule in Boston. And a high fly ball center field. Desmond Jennings handles all 3 putouts. 1, 2, 3. Go the Yankees. Bottom of the 5th coming. No score. Presented by your Tampa Bay area Mazda dealers. Rays and the Yankees wrapping up their series. It's been a great pitcher's throwdown tonight. These two guys have been very good, Cobb and Pettit. Jose Molina leads it off. And the curveball from Pettit breaks over, strike one call.
And they've been both getting it done in similar fashions. Mixing up their pitches. Nothing predictable. Off speed early in the count. Sometimes the fastball. Just constantly mixing and matching their pitches and the side of the plate they're using. And that's why you've seen a lot of weak contact tonight. Balls off the end. Weak little pop-ups. Soft ground balls. To go with all those strikeouts.
Andy Pettit out there. He'll be 41 years old in June. It's been a clinic by these two pitchers here tonight. And Molina hit by that pitch. So the Rays will put the leadoff man on base.
Well, Andy Pettit's come close to a couple of different guys on this cutter, almost a hybrid slider down and into the right-handed hitters. And this one catches Jose Molina right on the left toe. Not sure which one, but it got one of them. Barely. Good enough. When he's got those low profile spikes too, so that that will smart.
Well, I hope that doesn't affect his running game. He's perfect so far this year in steals.
To be safe now, he's just going to go Little League style. Just keep the plant foot on the bag and face second base. Oh, what? Maybe not.
Kelly Johnson. Pitch is in around the knees for a strike. The Rays have had base runners aboard in every inning.
Come on, Kelly Johnson. Hit him.
Pettit has been comfortable working out of the stretch tonight. He's had to do that a lot. How about that for a percentage?
You know what?
73%.
Yeah, that's impressive. 22 attempts is impressive too.
It's 2-1.
Make the old man throw some pitches. Half his age, Katie. All right, here we go.
Stayed in. A little late break, but did not catch the plate. 3-1.
Well, here you've got an opportunity if you're the Rays, and the way that these guys have been throwing the baseball, it's going to be a mistake or two that costs them.
Ground ball through the right side. Molina advances to second. It gets by Bosch. Molina's going to go to third. Foley will put up the stop sign for him, and that could be the break. The ball rolled by Bosch, and suddenly the Rays have two men in scoring position with nobody out on the base hit to right and the error.
How about that? First of all, Andy Pettit uncharacteristically missing with a few pitches. Then 3-1. Kelly Johnson gets out in front of this pitch. And then right here, just never got his glove down in time. Eyes were not where they needed to be, and that ball squeezes right by him.
Yeah, that's the most improbable of any error because Molina's not going anywhere. There's no reason to take your eye off the ball.
No, all you got to do is secure that ball. And it's staying close to the ground. I mean, hugging the ground. And he just zooted.
So the Rays, for the first time, have not only one runner, but two runners in scoring position for the top of the order. Desmond Jennings is 1 for 2, takes a strike. Desmond struck out in the first and singled into right in the third. Upstairs. So a golden opportunity for the Rays. It's the first time either one of these clubs has had a man as far as third base tonight. Molina hit by a pitch. He was behind in the count when that ball hit him on the left foot. Johnson single through the right side. They both move up on the error.
Well, Andy Pettitte going for the strikeout here. 1-2 count. Especially the middle infielders are conceding this run to the Rays. He needs to pick up the strikeout here.
And he gets what he needs. He strikes out Jennings for the second time tonight.
Now he's been racking up the strikeouts tonight. Only had 12 in 3 starts coming in, but he's been able to be consistent with that throughout the night. And here, really needing one, he threw a disappearing cutter slider, just keeping that cutter down in the zone is all he was doing, trying to get Jennings to swing over, and mission accomplished.
That's 8 strikeouts tonight. And here's Ryan Roberts. And a foul ball just outside third. Roberts 0 for 2. Struck out his last time, and the first time up, fly ball to right. Molina almost got hit again. That would have gotten his right foot. Two.
Well, that's that pitch is so tough to hit because it comes out of the hand. You've got to respect it and start early. With that ball coming in, you've got to get it started early if you think that pitch is going to be a strike, and then all of a sudden that late movement just takes it right under the swing.
Up by Cervelli.
How about the faith in Cervelli? That was that pitch that Andy Pettitte's going to spike. He's bounced a number of those. Not in a situation like this, though, with runners on second and third. That's a run. Cervelli very fundamentally sound. Just squashes that ball, keeps it out in front.
Roberts takes it in. 2-2. The Rays have a great opportunity here on a night when not many opportunities have been available. Both the base runners for the Yankees were on in the second inning. That's the only inning in which they've had anybody on. A walk and a base hit. The Rays have had runners on base in every inning, but this is the first time they've had anybody in scoring position. Second and third, one out. 2-2 the count on Ryan Roberts. He fouls it again. And tonight, Roberts getting his first look at Andy Pettitte.
Every one of these pitches by Pettitte has been middle in, or designed to be middle in. You wonder if he takes a chance here and maybe tries to backdoor that cutter. So aware, made him aware of the pitch in. Try to get him now backdoor.
This is down and in. So the count is full.
He just continues to go to that spot. So far, Ryan Roberts, a nice job of not biting, fouling off some tough pitches. I'd love to get Ben Zobrist to the plate. The base is loaded. Get a walk here. Better yet, Ryan Roberts, a base hit, drive the runs in yourself.
Three and two. And strike three call. Roberts tried to coax the walk. That pitch started wide and broke over.
I was one pitch too late. You know, he had just given him nothing but stuff, middle of the plate in, and then why not? You've got him geared up in, and if you can execute that pitch, that is how you use the backdoor cutter. Set up perfectly. And that may have been just off the plate, but still close enough that it could get called. It was called. It was a great pitch by Andy Pettitte.
This is a veteran making some great pitches right here. Now it's up to Ben Zobrist, who's 1 for 2 tonight. Ben lays off the first pitch as it cuts down and in. And Ben right now 7 out of 21 lifetime against Andy Pettitte. Another good take. Couple of good takes here by Zobrist to get ahead 2-0.
And you see what these pitches were, though? Andy Pettitte not giving him anything out over the plate, understanding the history there. And Ben Zobrist has had some success off of him, although the guy lurking on deck is no walk in the park either.
Picks up a strike. Two and one. Hit batter and a single, the error, allowing both men to move into scoring position. Now they're there with 2 gone. And a liner into right center field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Molina scores. Johnson scores. Throw into second, not in time. A double for Zobrist. And the Rays break out to a 2-0 lead in the 5th. Ben Zobrist comes through against Andy Pettitte.
Now, Andy Pettitte had done a lot of work to put him in a position to get out of that inning unscathed. But then a 2-1 pitch, and Ben Zobrist comes up huge for the Rays. Hit number 2. Said that he's got good success against Pettitte, and he just stayed on that ball off the plate away. Andy had just gone to that pitch previously to get strike 1. Ben was ready for the second one.
No, Ben in with his 5th double. Now with 15 runs batted in on the year. And here's Evan Longoria. It was the Rays found out last night. It's always good to add a run to a lead. Great chance here. It's too tight to Evan. Evan now 2 for 20 lifetime against Pettitte. One of those hits, a home run. And the pitch is a strike. To borrow the parlance of Joe Madden for Zobrist, he did not over boogie there in that at bat against his left-hander Pettitte. Took that 2-1 breaking pitch and stayed on it. lined it into right center. Ground ball third base. Comes up on Nix, and his throw to first in time. Rays are out in the fifth, but they take advantage of the opportunity to score two. We're through five. The Rays out in front 2-0 on this hit from Ben Zobrist. Starter tonight in the front five. Alex Cobb has been very good, spot on with 5 strikeouts. He's given up just 1 walk and 1 hit. Andy Pettit very tough as well. The Rays have had men on base in every inning, but he has been extremely tough, and it was the error in the 5th inning that led the Rays to an opportunity to break out in front, and with 2 outs, Ben Zobrist delivered, picking up his 2nd hit of the night off Pettit. So as we go to the 6th, the Rays lead 6-0. Cobb has been working at a quick pace. He did spend a little time in the dugout while the Rays rallied for a couple of runs in the 5th. So he's back out here to face Jason Nix. That's a strike.
Yeah, as a starting pitcher, you don't mind that way. Not at all. Not in a scoreless game, and as good as Andy Pettit has been, and he was on the verge of getting out of that inning.
Yeah, that would have been very frustrating for the Rays not to take advantage of that opportunity.
Well, Ben Zobrist to the rescue with a big 2-out, 2-run single, 2-run double. And now Alex Cobb trying to make that hold up.
A 1-ball, 1-strike count. Outside of third.
You know what's scary too is Alex Cobb, for most of his career, if you're going to get to him, you get to him early. You allow him to get into a good rhythm, and it's very difficult against him. And I'll tell you what, he has been sharp from hitter number 1. In fact, hitter number 1 was a 3-pitch strikeout. He hasn't looked back.
Gave up the walk and the single in the 2nd through 20 pitches in that one, but all the other innings have been extremely efficient. On the verge of making his 70th pitch of the night, facing the first man here in the 6th. He's average giving the Rays 7 innings a start. Ground ball headed toward the middle, backhanded by Roberts, but no throw. And Nix has a base hit. Well, Roberts got over there to glove it, but no place to go with a play at first. So a single for Nix, and we'll check in with Todd again. Todd?
It is an Ask the Rays website Wednesday. You can ask the booth your question by sending a tweet to @SunSportsRays with the hashtag AskRays. Len wants to know about James Shields, whether he will pitch against Tampa Bay in the upcoming series. And guys, it looks like he will, because tomorrow is Thursday. He's going to pitch against Verlander. If he stays on schedule, barring a rainout, he should pitch against Alex Cobb in Kansas City for the first game of that series. So what do you guys think about that matchup with Shields against the former mates?
I can't wait.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Yeah, can't wait. And that should be a great matchup. The way Cobb's throwing the ball and Shields, that's going to be fun. That's the first night of that Kansas City series, Tuesday.
Well, until he builds up the resume, and Alex Cobb is like James Shields light. I mean, really.
Yep.
Curveball, the fastball he moves around. Doesn't throw the cutter like James does. Doesn't need it.
Well, that spike curve is a pitch that these young pitchers are throwing, and that was a Shields' influence.
Yep. And the only thing that you hope is with Alex Cobb, and he's got a very good one. You just hope that it doesn't start to take away from the split change, because I think that is his best.
Double play ball. Escobar out at second, out at first. Rodriguez on the backside. Gardner grounds into two. Perfectly hit for the double play.
Yes, it was. Escobar moving towards second base, and he makes this play all in one sweet movement right here. Boom, step, throw. I'll tell you what, you talk about churching it up a little bit. With style. Well, he was going for style points on the half slide to first, and he finished him out there on that play right. Get that double play.
Broken out in front of that department.
Yes.
Here's Ichiro now with that runner erased. The base is empty, two gone. And the first pitch strike.
Well, it starts when he comes to the plate. The protective gear he's got on his elbow and his foot matching the white of the uniform. Not too many details are getting by Escobar.
See Suzuki trying to time up that little off-speed breaking ball.
Not recognizing it. He swung where that pitch was headed, not where it broke to.
Two. Let's see another one. Cobb has a veteran feel about him. Rodriguez unassisted. That takes care of New York in the sixth. A hit, but a man lost in a double play, and it's 2-0 Tampa Bay. H. Gregg. Well, that little headwear there is made for high definition and in living color. Here's Sean Rodriguez getting hold of this one, drilling it to the deepest part of the park, and it is gone. Boy, did he jump on that one and drive it out. Rays take a 3-0 lead. Rodriguez put a wallop on that pitch.
He flattened that baseball right. Wasted no time. Right out over the plate. Great extension and carried. That was a missile. It was right off the top of the wall. Deepest part of the field here.
Yunel Escobar. He takes a breaking ball, curveball for a strike. Well, the ball exploded off the bat of Rodriguez as he drove it out of here. It was almost as if it reached the deepest part, a little mini triangle out there, and hit another gear and took off. Ball and 2 strikes.
Literally to the farthest part of the field.
Left the playing field there and kept going. Takes the count to 2-2. And Escobar took that pitch that just stayed wide. And a full count.
Now, where's he coming now? Be ready to cover all of it.
Hit. No hits to open the 6th. Big turn at first by Escobar. And this after the Rays picked up 2 in the 5th. And Pettit found himself under duress in the 5th. Made 28 pitches. Almost got out of it before Zobrist doubled in 2.
And you wonder if the fatigue's starting to fit in. I mean, Andy Pettit's been a horse for a long, long time, but missed with a couple of pitches here out over the plate. Sean Rodriguez took it out of the ballpark. Escobar laces one into left field for a base hit. Well, that's what you got to do. These tight scoring games, these pitchers duels, when guys make mistakes, you've got to capitalize, and the Rays have done that here in the last inning plus.
Well, Pettit's up over 90 pitches now. Joe Girardi out of the dugout. That inning got deep in the 5th inning. Larry Rothschild came out when the pitch count started to mount. And now it's Girardi here with Escobar at first and nobody out. We're going to stay with him.
He went out there and he allowed Andy Pettit to talk in his defense. And Andy Pettit's not coming out of the game unless you don't give him that opportunity.
So a chance to maybe build an inning as Shelley Duncan has walked and struck out. Here's the hitter for the Rays against the veteran lefty. Strike 1. Pettit didn't make his season's debut last year until the 13th of May. That was against Seattle. Foul back. And then the rest of the way, because of the time he lost, and he sustained that fractured ankle at the end of June. Casey Kochman for the Indians got a ball back and got him on the ankle, and he didn't come back until the 19th of September.
No.
And Duncan did go after that one, says Sam Holbrook. Shelley thought he had held up.
Let's take a look at it. 0-2. Down and in. Now that was close. You don't know if Sam Holbrook, he was very definitive, but I don't know. That bat did have that little bit of whipping action out in front. Caught Holbrook's eye.
So that's the 10th strikeout for Pettit. Duncan not too happy about that. Molina takes one low. Last time he struck out 10 in regard to Pettit was June the 5th last year, and that was against the Rays. 15th time in his career that he has struck out as many as 10 hitters in a game. Ground ball. Nunez backhands. He's going to first with the throw in time. Nunez deep in the hole, and he had time with the catcher Molina going down the line, and Nunez turns in a fine play.
Yes, it was. He had to go deep over that ball. Not very close to him off the bat. Does a nice job of flagging it down. Then he got to make the throw.
I mean, to make that throw from that position is remarkable.
Yeah. Body moving away from first base. One of the longest throws you're going to make in the infield. One hops it perfectly.
Escobar at second. The count to Kelly Johnson is a strike. Pettit on the verge of delivering his 100th pitch of the night. Right here to Kelly Johnson. Foul. And a play. Johnson had a big hit after Molina was hit by a pitch in the 5th when he grounded. Was singled into right, and it rolled right through Brennan Bosch out there in right field, setting up the 2nd and 3rd predicament for Pettit. The Rays cashed in 2 outs later on that opportunity. Top of the order on deck. You see Desmond Jennings there behind Kelly Johnson, who's trying to extend the inning. These two clubs have divided the first 2 games of the series. Rays were 7-2 against the Yankees here at Tropicana Field last year. Finished the season series 10-8. They'll play them 19 times this year.
When you do the math too, you get 4 other teams in the division at 19 times each. 76 games. That's almost half your schedule is played within the rugged American League East. Difficult.
That's why it's going to be difficult to get the wild card team out of the American League East this year. This division has a chance to be so balanced and knocking each other off that it might be difficult to run up a significant win total. You might have to just win the division outright.
Well, that has to be the target. Take care of your Take care of yourself by doing that. Not have to worry about trying to eke in. Who wants to be the wild card anymore anyway? That's a one-game deal. Forget that. Which is, you know, obviously that was the idea behind it. You know, before, the wild card got a series like everybody else, and there were a lot of wild cards getting hot at the right time, making deep runs. Now you get one. Puts that premium back on winning the division.
The standings right now, Boston off to a 14-7 start. At the moment, 2 up on the Yankees and the Orioles, 4.5 up on the Rays, and 5.5 on the Blue Jays. Red Sox beat Oakland at Fenway 6-5. Roller to Cano at second. His flip to first takes care of the Rays, but a home run by Sean Rodriguez to lead off the inning gives the Rays another run. For Sean, his first home run of the year, and for the Rays, a 3-0 lead. You buy your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Checkers, feast on. And by Nissan, your best choice for a new car. Nissan's Best Choice Sales Event. Shop ChooseNissan.com. He's wrapping up the homestand. Take a look at these two young pitchers who truly have become the dynamic duo in the early part of this year for the Rays.
Now, how about they've been leading the way? Matt Moore, a perfect 4-for-4 starts and wins, and Alex Cobb has been very good himself, 2-1 coming into this ball game and throwing the ball tremendously.
Robinson Cano against the shift, and he fouls that first pitch back. Sam Fold is in the game now for the Rays here in the 7th inning. He's in right field. Ben Zobrist now at shortstop, and he's playing short right in this shift. And James Loney in the game at first. Feet of Cano. 1-1.
These changes taking Yunel Escobar out of the game. Certainly wouldn't think that he would be gone at this point. Had a base hit last half.
And the base hit was left on.
Yep.
We didn't see anything glaring. Pitch close, but it missed. 2-1. Loney occupies the 5th spot in the lineup, and Fold will occupy the number 6 spot vacated by Escobar. Hot shot down to Loney, who scoops it and steps on the bag. Well, timing is everything, and Loney made a fine play on a hard hit ball by Cano.
Welcome to the game, James. The ball rocketed. Nice job on the backhand going down, making sure that he secured the baseball for out number 1.
Well, that's a thing of beauty right there by Loney. Unless you're Robinson Cano.
Not a fan.
Travis Hafner, the designated hitter. Strike 1. Hafner walked to open the 2nd. Strike 2. Cobb, 1 out into the 7th inning. Just over 80 pitches. Fly ball right field. Fold still going back, feeling for the wall, and has room to make the catch. Sam Fold kept creeping back toward that wall, realized where he was, and made the grab.
Well, that ball got in on Travis Hafner just enough. I mean, just enough. Sam feeling for it. There you go. So how about that? James Loney comes in, has to make a backhand play up the line on a rocket. Sam Fold has to go back, catch a ball with his back against the wall.
On Joe Madden Gnome night, that is managing. Making those moves at the right time.
It is something else.
And here's Francisco Cervelli. 1-0. Cobb now with 84 pitches, 2 hits, and a walk. I don't know if you're 25 years old, if you can turn in a vintage performance or not, but this is what we've been seeing out of Alex Cobb.
No, he's been able to combine the 2 E's, effective and efficient, and he's been doing that all season long. In fact, you go back into last year, July of last year, he's been doing that. You know, his last 18 starts coming into today, 17, he's given up 3 earned runs or less. Very consistent. Doesn't use a lot of pitches. Has a good idea of what he's doing. And the quicker that he gets into good rhythm on the mound, boy oh boy.
There's a strike. You know, since the beginning of last August, coming into this start, he's gone 9-2 with a 295 earned run average. Third line foul. Back it up 18 starts. Look at that.
Half the time he's at least going 7, getting into the 8th inning. 10-5, 3-2-9, but that 3 earned run or less in 17 out of 18 is going to give your team a chance to win every single time.
Strike 3 it. 1-2-3 go the Yankees. 7th inning stretch time. 3-0 Rays.
Questions on our Ask the Rays website Wednesday. We had Terry, Chris, John all asking about the clubhouse annex. We actually had one person asking why there were 2 Penguins in the clubhouse today. That's because Joe Madden couldn't find any more than 2. Here's what happened this week. We had a DJ on the second day of the homestand, a magician the second day, cockatoo yesterday, and today, yes, it was Shelley and Cliff. Penguins from the Florida Aquarium. So our question is, which of those clubhouse visitors did you like best? Hashtag TB1 for the DJ, hashtag TB2 for the magician, hashtag TB3 for Mindy the cockatoo, or hashtag TB4 for the Penguins from the Florida Aquarium. Tweet your votes to @SunSportsRays, guys.
All right, well, that's quite a menagerie right there that Joe Madden has collected. Madden's Menagerie on this homestand.
We'll all be shopping there soon. There's no TB5, by the way. Yep. Okay.
Should there be?
Well, there could have been. And do you know that? Did you notice the cockatoo on the hand of Chris Westmoreland?
Yes.
The Rays clubhouse fan. He's been a huge fan of this week. I mean, has absolutely loved it. You can see him enjoying, the bird, getting to walk from one finger to the other like a big slinky. He's had a lot of fun with it.
He's had
card tricks.
Well, that's like having company.
Yeah, it loosens him.
For Westy.
That's right. It's exactly right.
Yeah.
Inviting someone over to the house.
Yeah, come on over.
His domain, sets him up. Doing a little jig with the DJ. Big fun.
Yeah. Oh, strike 3 call. That's not fun. Jennings caught looking. So Sean Kelly strikes out the first man he faces. Kelly in relief of Andy Pettit. Early on for the 7th time. Roberts looks at a strike. One, the slider in the dirt. So 6 innings for Andy Pettit, 105 pitches. cut, good cut right there by Roberts on the fastball at 92, but he fouled it.
Well, Andy Pettit was a victim of Alex Cobb as much as he was the Rays lineup. He pitched very, very well, but had no margin for error. And that guy right there, Ben Zobrist, had the big hit after he was almost able to wiggle out of a jam in the 5th.
And strike 3 called. So a couple of called third strikes.
Now the Rays Summer Concert Series returns with acts for the entire family. You can enter the danger zone with Kenny Loggins, listen to country music megastar Martina McBride, or watch your kids move all around the field with the Imagination Movers. For the full lineup, visit raysbaseball.com/concerts.
Ben Zobrist is 2 for 3 tonight. Takes it the other way, foul. He had that big hit for the Rays in the 5th with 2 on and 2 out. The Rays the lead.
Well, he had seen that same pitch previously, and he was all over it. Gave the Rays a 2-run lead, then Sean Rodriguez would tack on another one in the bottom of the 6th with a home run.
Zobrist again down the left field side.
Oh, nice play.
Making the bullpen proud down there.
Double flap, baby.
Yeah.
Double flap with the backhand. Love it.
Crowd favorite now. A little fist bump from the stands. Adulation from the bullpen. It's a good night. 2-2. There you go. Look at that.
How about that? A little bit empty. We have the same haircut though, so
You should just tag him.
Add insult to injury. Not only did you dive over the railing empty-handed, you're out. Picked off.
Pop up. And Kelly gives way to Nix. So the Rays are out 1-2-3 in the 7th. We go to the 8th. 3-0 Tampa Bay. On a night when Joe Maddon's gnome was the featured novelty item, the Rays done a pretty good job of acquitting themselves through the front 7 innings. Alex Cobb has been excellent. And with the Gnomes in tandem watching, the Rays lead 3-0. "89 pitches through 7 innings for Cobb as he works to Overbay and throws him a strike."
Where did our gnome go?
He's sleeping still, and we'll check in with Todd here in just a moment. He has some
Information.
updating news from us, or for us, I should say. It's a ball 1-1. Todd, what do you have?
Yunel Escobar, guys, left the game with tightness in his right hamstring day to day. That's the word from the Rays clubhouse.
And there we have it. Cut the miss, 1-2. So thanks to Todd for updating us on the Escobar situation. Cobb has thrown a lot of strikes tonight, just a little over 90 pitches total. First pitch strikes to 15 of the 24 hitters he's faced. Joel Peralta gets ready to go to work in the bullpen up the right field line. Bouncing ball right side, stays down off the lip, and a nice recovery by Roberts.
Yeah, and had to make an adjustment going for that ball. He had the chop timed out, and all of a sudden it hits the lip, stays down, and Ryan Roberts has to recalibrate, field, and shuffle. Nicely done.
You know, we've seen Cobb do this sort of thing before. He's now retired 16 out of 17 hitters.
He does it so quietly. Option pitch.
Eduardo Nunez. He chops it to short. Ben Zobrist gloves it and throws a strike to first. 2 up, 2 down with a couple ground balls here.
Well, Alex Cobb has been, you run out of words to describe it. He's been outstanding. That was early in the ball game, first hitter of the game, and he's been working that fastball to both sides. The splitter, the curveball just continues to get easy outs, bad contact. He's just done a nice job of dividing that strike zone up and working all quadrants, keeping this Yankee lineup off balance.
Bosch is a breaking ball for a strike. 10 ground ball outs. It's about par for the course.
And the thing about it is, too, is that, he gets the 10 ground ball outs. He got 7 flyouts, but a lot of them have been of the weak variety. Guys out in front, off the end of the bat, jam shots. He'll take those.
The string on Bosch with a changeup.
Yeah, and once again, you let Cobb start get into the later innings, and he starts to smell the finish line.
Strikes out Bosch. Double up on him on the change. A 1-2-3-8. Bottom of the frame coming. 3-0 Rays.
Tropicana Field. And here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. A preview of the road trip. Going to take the Rays to 3 different cities, Chicago, Kansas City, and Denver, to take on the Rockies. What about the young guns on the hill? Chris Sale, Jeremy Hellickson. That should be a good matchup.
Evan Longoria leads off the bottom of the 8th. 0 for 3 tonight. He's trying to keep that streak of reaching base alive. He did it his last time up last night when he homered in the 9th. It's 2-1. Dating back into last year, reached base safely in 34 consecutive games, and lofts a fly ball to center field. Gardner's there waiting, and that is the first out in the 8th. Well, if this lead stands up, it would appear that that streak would end. Evan right now at 34 straight, dating back to September 19th. Last year. 1 out in the 8th, and James Loney will make his first plate appearance. Sean Rodriguez started at first base tonight, had 2 hits, including that long home run. Fernando Rodney up in the bullpen. Strike the count to Loney. It's a 1-1 count. Stays wide from Kelly. It's 3-1. Up the left side, that's slicing out of play. Count is full.
Well, get in on the action with exclusive on-field seating in the Papa John's bullpen box. Available dates are going fast, so act now to make your group reservation behind the Rays bullpen by calling 855-GROUP-TB or by going online at raysbaseball.com.
And Loney walks. Sam Fuld on his way to the plate. Swing and a foul ball for a strike. Rays scored 2 in the 5th inning, got another run in the 6th on the home run by Rodriguez. Fuld is down in the count, 0-2. All 3 runs charged to Andy Pettit in 6 innings. Ground ball, base hit for Fuld. Rounding second is Loney. First and second with 1 out.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Tampa Bay Rays and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Tampa Bay Rays.
So Matt Joyce emerges from the Rays dugout with the right-hander Kelly out there. Duncan will be lifted. Rays now have 8 hits. And the Rays with an opportunity here, try to add to their lead. That takes a strike. Duncan worked a perfect 7th inning. Struck out a couple. 0-2. Ball and 2 strikes. Joyce out on strikes. That's the second out. It's going to be up to Jose Molina if the Rays are to tack on here in the 8th inning. Those strikes.
Come on, meatball, let's go.
And a popper on the infield. Cano makes the catch, and the Rays leave 2. We're going to head into the 9th inning. Rays lead 3-0.
The Rays lead at 3-0. Coming up on Rays Live, the postgame presented by Checkers, Todd Anarestis will anchor the coverage. We will be breaking down the performance of said Alex Cobb. He'll be let in on Joe Madden's press conference. Kelly Nash will be busy gathering interviews from the clubhouse. All of that coming up immediately following tonight's ball.
Alex Cobb has one other complete game, and that was against Oakland last year when he threw not only his first complete game, but his first shutout, a 4-hitter when he shut down Oakland, and the Rays won that game 5-0.
Oh, that was the Matt Moore coming in late. That's fun.
Well, tonight he's made 99 pitches through 8 innings. He's retired 23 of the 26 men he has faced tonight and 18 of the last 19. So he'll start the 9th inning with this 3-0 lead, and he'll face Jason Nix. Nix has 1 of the 2 hits he's given up tonight. And the first pitch is a strike.
Well, that was right back up the middle, and you see they've got Ryan Roberts shaded very close to second base. You see him right there.
Down to third. Longoria makes the throw. 1 away here in the 9th. Well, the Yankees have placed 1 man as far as second base tonight. That was Hafner, who opened the second with a walk, and 2 outs later moved to second base on the base hit by Nunez. Here's Gardner. The other hit was that base hit by Nix that you referenced, BA, and then Gardner grounded into the double play to erase him. Pitch down to Gardner. Well, this young right-hander has been very, very good again here tonight after his 3rd win.
Come on, Cobb, finish it. We don't want no Rodney today.
He throws a strike. Fastball at 90. Gardner fouls it out of play. Well, this has been fun to watch tonight with the way Cobb has gone about his business.
Dissection. Just dissection. I mean, balls moving all over the strike zone, and here he's got Brett Gardner set up. He can go with that split change away, or he can come right back in there and pound him in with the fastball. Looks like that might be what he's going to try and do.
And it just off the plate end. Well, he got him looking the first time up to start this game on that fastball in like that.
It was fastball, curveball, strike 2, lock him up with the fastball in. Now you can go back to that changeup.
Ground ball right side through the hole for a base hit. A little ground ball through the right side, and Joe Madden's going to come out. Fernando Rodney up in the right field bullpen, and he's going to go to the bullpen. Well, a 1-out single. Prior to the single, he had retired 19 of the last 20 men he had faced. 24 of 27. He'll get a great hand as he departs. So great job by Alex Cobb. The Metro PCS call to the bullpen. And tonight, Alex Cobb. You just can't be much better than that duo. And Cobb was so fun to watch tonight.
Yes, he was. I mean, pitching into the ninth inning, gives up the base hit to Gardner that will end his night, but so far no runs, just the one walk, 7 strikeouts.
And he gives way to Fernando Rodney. 1 on, 1 out. And Ichiro Suzuki will be the hitter. Suzuki got the big hit last night in the 9th inning, and so here's Rodney facing him tonight. Starts with a changeup. 1 ball, no strikes. The pitch upstairs. Back-to-back changeups. Cano, Robinson Cano, is on deck. Ground ball, and that's going to go through into right for a base hit. Gardner stops at second, and just like that, the Yankees get the potential tying run to the plate.
Yeah, and don't think for 1 minute with the ball to handle right there. Suzuki knew that he had the whole right side of the infield to play with, and he just goes out and hooks that ball right over. Runner being held on. There was a lot of room to fit something through. Boy, look at that. Just dribble it through. And now you get Cano up to the plate. It's a potential tying run. You did not want to see this.
So Rodney's going to have to deal with the middle part of the order. And this guy in particular really concerns you. Pitch is a strike. Cano 3 for 9 lifetime against Rodney. His base hit last night started the 9th inning. It came against Price. A 1-1 count. Rays were looking for a little breathing room in the bottom of the 8th, but left 2 men on. And it's 2-1 with Fernando Rodney, and Molina going to have a little visit with him.
Just going to try to get him back in the zone with either one of those pitches. That's the one thing that where Fernando was so successful last year. He was throwing a ton of strikes, just 15 walks on the year. Seemingly always had a favorable count. And here you're in a tough spot. First and second, 1 out. Now a 2-1 count to Robinson Cano, the most dangerous hitter in this New York lineup.
Two balls and a strike. And now he's behind 3-1. And I'll tell you right now, Rodney does not look like a guy who's filled with confidence.
No, and you hope he finds it quick.
Foul the other way. And the count is full. He was so good a year ago, and then in the WBC, good again.
Oh yeah.
And you know it's there, and the Rays would like to do is get him over the hump a little bit to restore some of that swagger.
Starting to see a little bit of it. Yeah, the other night in that 1-0 game, he came in and saved. That fastball velocity was back up. certainly looked like the confidence was too, but I'll tell you what, you know, it's baby steps at this point. One outing at a time. Continue to build off of that. Get the job done here, feel a whole lot better.
3-2. And a ground ball right side. Roberts will go to first. They get the out. The runners move up. Both men now in scoring position. But Cano is a big out. 2 gone.
Well, you wonder here if they're going to even pitch to Travis Hafner. Here's a sequence to Cano. Right there, gets ahead of him nice, but then he's going to miss. 2 balls here. That prompted the visit. He misses again with a changeup. Cano's going to foul off one down the left field line to get full. And here, reaching for a pitch, grounds out, 4-3.
Well, last night the Rays intentionally walked Hafner. They'll pitch to him tonight with 2 outs. And there's a strike. He tried to get it started early, and that changeup got him. So that gives Rodney the opening advantage. Hafner has been dangerous in a Yankee uniform, and lifetime is 6 of 14 with a homer off Rodney. Out in front again. 2 strikes.
Yeah, just not recognizing that plus changeup by Rodney out in front, respecting the 95, 97 mile an hour fastball, just a little too early.
Two on, 2 out. Rays trying to end it here. Trying to win the series from New York. They stayed with the change. 3 straight. It's 1-2.
Everything away. All 3 of those changeup. We see Fernando Rodney use that good changeup out over the plate. He is purposely keeping that ball away from Hafner, not wanting to give him an opportunity to hit one to right center field where the majority of Hafner's power is. Although a ball elevated away, and he's got some juice going the other way too. Dangerous.
And a foul ball. Just staying with the change. Molina with a new baseball and a little conversation with it. Rays Live. The post game is next, presented by Checkers. We'll all be there for the wrap up. Rodney in relief of Alex Cobb. Zobrist out from shortstop, making the call and the catch, and the Rays are winners tonight. They take 2 out of 3 from the Yankees and finish 5-1 on the homestand. Yankees lead 2 in the ninth. The Rays a combination shutout. The combo of Cobb and Rodney drove the 4-hit shutout here over the New York Yankees. And the Rays, who won here 5-1 on Monday, dropped last night's game 4-3 and win this one 3-0. And as we promised earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And for that, as the Rays celebrate, we'll take a look once again at that final out, the pop-up off the bat of Travis Hafner, with Ben Zobrist doing the honors. And that completes the Rays homestand, and a good one it has been. What a job by Alex Cobb. And Rodney came on to face 3 hitters and close it out. Right now, Todd Calvin standing by on the field with Alex Cobb.
Dwayne, thanks. Alex, it seemed like everything was rolling tonight. Did you feel like you could put everything where you wanted to tonight, pitch-wise?
Yeah, actually, my fastball was there all game. I was able to throw inside, outside, both sides of the plate. Curveball, changeup kind of left me a couple times throughout the game, but when I didn't have one, the other one was there. So I was able to get by when I didn't have all three, and the fastball command was key.
We talked to you before the start about your in-game adjustments. Seems like you're making them so much quicker now. Is that something where you're talking to J-Mo, Jose Molina during the game, or is it just you're able to see how the hitters react?
It's more of a personal thing. It's I can feel, I can see what my pitches are doing. Also I can see what kind of swings the hitters are taking against me, and whether my fastball is moving or not. So over the years I've been able to kind of develop a reference point to how to get my pitches to do what I want to do, and that's been key for me this year.
Nobody gets by second, only one runner, 2 second. Thought there was an interesting play on the double play ground ball off the bat of Gardner, fast runner. The ball's hit right back to the mound. It's almost an instinct to go for it, but did you realize at that point that you had to let it go, your only chance to get a double play?
Yeah, I mean, I always know where my fielders are, but in that situation, I have a runner on first. I'm looking at picking up one of the two to see who I got on a double play, and I noticed Esky was a little bit behind the bag. So it right on the my first instinct was to catch it, and then about halfway there, something just pulled my glove back. I don't know. It's not a thought process. It was just something told me to pull my glove back.
You've been off to such a good start. We saw you and Matt Moore there in the dugout. Must be fun right now for you two, the way things have gone in the month of April.
Yeah, it's nice having him in front of me. He's setting the bar high. I'm trying to beat him and everything. I don't want that kid to beat me in anything. So I was hoping I'd get a complete game, kind of get a little revenge last time when he took me out. So, hopefully down the road.
I figured your head would be on a swivel if you went the distance. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, Todd.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, Todd. Then a great job by the young right-hander Alex Cobb, who wins his third of the year. We'll be right back.